Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Privilege Stacking series, and I want to talk about this cautionary tale of the one, the only, the beautiful Amanda Seales. Amanda Seales is a good example of someone that has so much talent, so much potential. She's got so many things going for her, but she cannot let this social justice warrior thing go. And a lot of times, what happens is we will see lighter skinned women or mixed race women who will be so pro black. They'll have so much to say. They will be social justice warriors for people who are less privileged than them. And then those same people that they're defending will not come to their rescue. Those same people will not help build them up. And so I think that some women have almost like this light skin guilt, or they have this guilt about being privileged. They have this guilt about not having to deal with the PTSD of colorism, texturism, and featureism. And so what they'll do is, they'll do what black women told them to do, which is to use their platform as a way to speak out on colorism, texturism, and featureism. You saw this with Jesse Williams as well. He definitely has a light-skinned savior complex as well. So a lot of the exoticals who engage in this behavior, it never works out for them in the end. You know why? Because being a social justice warrior is not a good social climbing strategy. It's very annoying to walk around with the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's very irritating to companies and brands and people who are trying to have fun. That's very irritating for you to make everything into some sort of argument. And so what we see is a lot of exoticals, they end up becoming like these social martyrs for the black community. In fact, I saw a recent post by Amanda saying that she got fired from a job when she was younger because she wouldn't stop wearing her afro. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Amanda Seales has some sort of fine textured hair, kind of like type 3. So I don't know what her standard is of an afro, but okay. She said that she got fired from a job. Imagine getting fired and having financial instability because you were that obsessed with pro-blackness. And I understand, like, if you want to become the next Martin Luther King, become the next Martin Luther King. But what a lot of exoticals don't understand is that black women, they're not going to allow somebody who looks like Amanda Seales to be the next Martin Luther King. They're not going to allow you to have that sort of legacy in their community. They already feel replaced by your phenotype. This is why you have people disrespecting Rosa Parks to this day, saying that there was another woman who was darker than her who sat on the bus first. And then same thing with like a lot of the black women who have done great things throughout history. Like, you still have black women talking shit about them to this day. So I noticed that in Amanda Seales' case, when she was on that TV show with Issa Rae, I know that she talked about how like people didn't like her and she kind of didn't get along with people. And I mean, I think that part of it is probably her personality. Obviously, I don't think everything is just based on skin tone. But isn't it interesting, though, how Issa Rae, she's like a superstar. I mean, she's like a very famous producer now. So her being affiliated with Issa Rae and all these other black producers and stuff, it didn't seem to help stabilize her career like she thought it would. And this is why I say that you should burn the cape, ladies. Do not cape for women who wouldn't cape for you, because a lot of unambiguous black women, if they have the opportunity to be famous or rich, they're not going to martyr themselves and give the opportunity to a light-skinned woman. They're not. I'm just saying, generally speaking, throughout history, that has not happened because a lot of unambiguous people feel like they've already had enough opportunities taken away from them. And so for that reason, you're not going to be able to ride their coattails. Amanda Seales, she can't ride the coattails of dark-skinned black women into Hollywood. Because for a lot of unambiguous people, they have actually been in that position of riding the coattails. And I feel like sometimes women are so deeply entrenched in Blackistan to the point where they literally view themselves as the victim. By the way, when I use the term Blackistan, I'm referring to the negative aspects of the black culture, okay? So I understand that there's black excellence, but then there's also Blackistan. So when I use that term Blackistan, I'm talking about the victim mentality. I'm talking about a scarcity mindset. I'm talking about that whole thing where you're defining yourself based on your struggle. When I think of Amanda Seales, I think of struggle because that's what she talks about a lot of times. That's what she talks about a lot. That's what she jokes about a lot. So that's what I think of as her brand. So she has taken on that same inferiority complex type of branding that you see a lot of unambiguous black women taking on. In fact, in Hollywood, I actually don't even see as many unambiguous black women taking on that kind of branding, because a lot of the black women in Hollywood, they're just trying to make their money. They're just trying to get their acting roles and stuff like that. So they don't have time to be on Instagram talking about politics and talking about all these genocides and, talking about all this texturism, colorism, futurism. And so I think that one of the biggest social climbing mistakes exoticals can make is, number one, taking on the personality traits that are associated with stereotypical black women, which Amanda Seales has certainly done. I mean, I'm sorry, let's just be honest. A lot of Amanda Seales' personality is very much a walking caricature of what you see a lot of unambiguous black women doing. And I think that Amanda Seales, she is able to get away with it, obviously, because of her privilege. And I don't think that she realizes that. But everybody knows that if you take on a stereotypical kind of social justice warrior, sassy black woman attitude, if you take that on as your branding, and if you take that on as like your persona, obviously that's not going to fly really well, especially if you don't have anything to balance it out. So for example, if you take a look at Cardi B, she does that same thing too, where she plays into the whole Blackistan mentality. She plays into it, right? She plays into the ratchetness. But Cardi B, she also balances it out with getting her brand deals on Instagram. She's actually a fashion Instagram. I consider Cardi B to be a fashion Instagrammer. Cardi B also speaks another language. And she collaborates with people from her other background, like from the Hispanic background. And so, yeah, she may be profiting off of the whole Blackistan mindset so that she can get a black female audience, but she also has multiple streams of micro-validation. And so I think that where Amanda Seales goes wrong is she does not have multiple streams of micro-validation. It's literally just, I want my validation from black women and black men, and that's it. So it's kind of like she's putting all of her eggs in the black basket, if that makes sense. And the thing that you have to realize too, Pretty Girl Club, is that blackness is not a monolith. So you can represent blackness without being a social justice warrior. Like, you can represent blackness without representing dark-skinned blackness, because you're not dark-skinned. You're not dark-skinned. You don't have 4C hair. So it's okay to represent blackness, but just represent your actual authentic version of that blackness, which is light skin with the blonde hair and the, I think she's mixed. I don't remember. I don't think she identifies as mixed. I'm not sure. But it's like, a lot of exoticals fall into this trap where they feel like they have to be a monolith. And so then they'll spend their lives caping and social justice warrioring for dark-skinned black women who will not return the favor. They'll spend their lives caping for the black community. They're willing to risk financial instability so that they can be pro-black. Like in Amanda Seales' case, she said that she got fired for wearing an afro. Like, she refused to stop wearing an afro. Okay, so she was willing to forego financial stability just so she can be able to say, hey, I wore an afro. Like, that's how pro-black I am. So do you see what I mean about exoticals going out of their way to try to prove their blackness? And it doesn't matter. Like, the black community, they're never going to see you as the same, because your experience is not the same. Your phenotype is not the same. Your parents probably don't look the same as their parents. Your parents and grandparents probably don't look the same as theirs. Your privileges and disadvantages are not the same as unambiguous black women. So I think that a lot of women end up holding themselves back because they waste their time caping and social justice warrioring and using their Instagram platforms as a way to protest on behalf of the unambiguous black women who never asked her to protest on their behalf. Have you ever tried to cape for women or men in the black community and the favor was not returned? I mean, just look at how it turned out on YouTube. All of us exoticals, we were supporting the black empowerment space. We watched those YouTube channels. We were subscribers to those YouTube channels. But did those women ever cater to us? Of course not, because we are not the center of their audience, and that's okay. Everybody has a different lane in life, and I think that a lot of exoticals need to learn self-preservation. And, it's okay to have a fluid identity. I feel like Amanda Seales, she comes off as extremely monocultural, and I feel like monoculturalism is a way that people prove their pro-blackness. Like, oh, that's how pro-black I am. I only stay in black spaces. I only shop at black-owned brands. Everything I do is black, black, blackety black. And so they're doing this monocultural thing to try to prove that they're down with blackness, but obviously monoculturalism holds you back if you're navigating in non-black spaces. Hollywood is a non-black space, obviously. I mean, I guess if you're staying in the quote unquote black version of Hollywood, which would be kind of like Tyler Perry and Oprah, those are the only two I can think of that really have the power to make movies and stuff in Hollywood. So I would say if you're staying in that part of Hollywood, maybe. But if you're not, if you're trying to navigate through non black spaces with like NBC, CBS, I don't know, all these major networks and stuff who have majority non black people in them, then being monocultural will actually hold you back. And so, what Amanda Seales is experiencing is she's actually running into the same glass ceilings as a lot of unambiguous black women. And she really shouldn't be. She really doesn't have to. But she's running into a lot of the same glass ceilings. And it's a combination of her personality and her talking points and kind of like having the same issue that a lot of black women have, which is not knowing how to read the room, not knowing when to speak out and when to be quiet, not having good timing on when to do and say certain things, and ultimately not being your own boss, not having the social power. Amanda Seales is the type of woman who needs her own shit. She needs to work for herself. She needs to be her own boss. She does not give me employee vibes. She doesn't give me the vibe of someone who would make a good employee. Because, I mean, let's be honest, the employee, you have to listen to other people and kind of like do what they say. Amanda Seales doesn't come off like that. She comes off like she would make a very good boss babe, kind of starting her own production company, making her own movies, making her own web series, doing her own podcast. And I'm sure she has done those things. But it's like, you have to also be self aware and know that this community is not serving you. So it's like, what did she gain? My question is, what did Amanda Seales gain by doing all this protesting? Did the genocide stop? Like, did she stop the genocide by posting about it on Instagram? Like, did she end colorism? Did Jesse Williams end colorism by talking about it on that stage? Like, anything that you give up as a light-skinned woman, you're not necessarily opening the door for a dark-skinned black woman anyway. So, like, if Beyonce would have said, hey, I'm not going to sing anymore, I quit the music industry, that doesn't mean that suddenly Kelly Rowland is going to become the next Beyonce. No, if anything, maybe Rihanna would have been bigger. So just because you give up opportunities or just because you risk your platform, it doesn't mean that that platform is going to be the consolation prize to an unambiguous black woman. But anyway, what do you ladies think? Are you done caping for women who wouldn't cape for you? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.